Call to order the regular meeting of the Dickinson City Commission for Tuesday, October 7th, 2025. Let the record show that all commissioners are present. First item this evening is the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you all for coming this evening. We'll begin with the order of business. Mr. Dossinger, are there any changes to the order of business?
Good evening, Mr. President, members of the Commission. There's no change to the order of business this evening.
Commissioners, do you have any questions on the order of business? If there are no questions, I'd look for a motion.
Move to approve.
I have a motion to approve.
Second.
With a second. Any further discussion on the order of business? Hearing none, all in favor state aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Move into consent agenda. Are there any items on the consent agenda that the Commission wishes to discuss? If there's no discussion or questions on the consent agenda, I'd look for a motion.
Mr. President, I move to approve.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Bear.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Riddle. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote. Dr. Bear.
Aye.
Mr. Riddle.
Aye.
Mr. Frederick.
Aye.
Mr. Murphy.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Motion carries. Moving into administration and finance, our first item this evening is our library board appointment, and this will be handled by Deputy City Administrator Carlson.
Thank you, President Decker and Commissioners. So just a little bit background before we get into this. On September 10th, 2025, the Dickinson Area Public Library Board met for their monthly meeting, and Mr. Luke Hurt resigned from his term on the board due to medical reasons, leaving a vacant board position. The library board had just held interviews in July for new board members using the scoring system. So with that, the library board voted to nominate the next candidate in line, which is Susan Josephson, to fill the vacant position as a one-year term. Susan has been a resident for 12 years, and I would like Susan, she's in the audience, to come up to the podium and introduce herself and let you know why she's interested in serving on the library board.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
I'm
Good
Susan
afternoon.
Josephson, and I've applied for the library board, I think, twice. So I was sad when I wasn't elected this time, but now I'm really happy. So I'm honored to serve. I will just tell you briefly, my mom was a librarian, and I've been a patron of libraries since I was 5 years old, beginning with Dr. Seuss and moving on from there to, classics and other books. One of the first things I did when I came to Dickinson was check out the library, join the book club, start going to the Christmas party and volunteering lightly with that. I think libraries are a treasure for every community, and I think that for all ages. I love our library here in terms of the variety that it offers, and the programming is broad. And the programming really involves, in my opinion, the community in requesting and hearing what the community wants. And I think that that's a wonderful thing as well. I think it really draws a lot of people in Dickinson into the library, and so I'm delighted. I am a fan of the programming, the youth programming as well as the adult programming. So I'm delighted.
Well, happy to have you aboard, and congratulations on your second attempt. So,
Yes.
Welcome aboard.
welcome aboard.
Thank
Guess
you.
I'll see you tomorrow night.
Oh, good. Okay,
Yes.
hopefully.
So with that, Commissioners, the library board is recommending approval of Susan Josephson to fulfill the vacant board position for a one-year term.
All right, thank you, Mrs. Carlson. If there are no more questions or comments, I'd look for a motion to.
Mr. President, I move to approve.
We have a motion to approve. Mrs. Josephson?
Second.
Second. Any further discussion? All in favor state aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, we have a proclamation. It is Fire Prevention Week. Did anybody from the fire department want to come up before I read the proclamation, or there you go.
Good afternoon, President, Commissioners. Mark with the Fire Department. Just a proclamation. This is our standard weekly nationwide Fire Prevention Week. We've done this proclamation for years. We've already been in the schools for a couple days, but with commission meetings, how it worked out, it seemed pretty good timing actually to have it on this week. So just have that proclamation for your review.
All right, thank you. Had a pretty good turnout for the community breakfast on Sunday.
We sure did. It was quite a few. I don't know what our final number is, well over 500-600 as far as I know. So it's quite a
That was a
few.
good turnout
Wonderful.
on a blustery day too.
It was a little windy, a little cold.
So-
May have affected our numbers a little bit, but
Yeah.
Always
but
good
No, that
event.
was good. It was good. I appreciate everything you guys do. So I'll
Thank you.
proceed with Fire Prevention Week 2025. Whereas the city of Dickinson is committed to ensuring the safety and security of all those living in Dickinson and visiting. And whereas the fire remains a serious public safety concern, both locally and nationally, and the presence of lithium-ion batteries in many household devices introduces unique fire risks. And whereas most of the electronics used in homes daily, including smartphones, tablets, laptops, power tools, e-bikes, e-scooters, and toys, are powered by lithium-ion batteries, which, if misused, damaged, or improperly charged, can overheat, start a fire, or explode. And whereas the National Fire Protection Association, NFPA, reports an increase in battery-related fires, underscoring the need for public education on the safe use of lithium-ion batteries. And whereas residents should follow 3 key calls to action: buy only listed products, charge batteries safely, and recycle them responsibly to prevent battery-related fires. And whereas lithium-ion batteries store a large amount of energy in a small space, and improper use, such as overcharging, using off-brand chargers without safety certification, or exposing batteries to damage, can result in fire or explosion. And whereas the proper disposal and recycling of lithium-ion batteries help prevent environmental hazards and reduce fire risks in the home and the community. And whereas the City of Dickinson first responders are dedicated to reducing the occurrence of fires through prevention, safety education, community outreach. And whereas the 2025 Fire Prevention Week theme, Charge into Fire Safety, lithium-ion batteries in your home, serves to remind us of the importance of using, charging, and recycling lithium-ion batteries safely to reduce the risk of fires in homes and communities. Therefore, I, Scott Decker, President of the Dickinson City Commission, do hereby proclaim this week, October 5th through the 11th, 2025, as Fire Prevention Week throughout Dickinson. In witness whereof I have hereunto set my hand and caused this seal to be fixed. I'd look for a motion.
Mr. President, move to approve.
We have a motion to approve the Fire Prevention Week proclamation
Second.
with a second. All in favor state aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Get that over to Mr. And thank you again, all our employees that work in safety. I know it's been a busy summer. I appreciate all your hard work, as we appreciate all the employees and their hard work over the summer. I was at a meeting last night for the regional fire departments. We're already prepping for next year. It's only going to get busier. So, going to be interesting summer coming up. So, thank you again, everyone that worked so hard. All right, next item up is City Commissioner Board Assignments. If you saw in your packets, just have one amendment to that. I am going to be removing Commissioner Frederick from the Yoakum Museum Board. Dr. Barry, you're on that already, so maybe I'll cover down. I think you have multiple. And then I guess I just the there's one other one that we have for the, yeah, the Stark Historical has 2 on that too. And I think we could, yeah, you can cover down on that one too.
Yeah,
Okay, yeah.
I got both.
So we'll make that amendment. So, any other questions or comments? If not, then we'll go ahead and look for a motion.
Mr. President, I move to approve.
We have a motion to approve by Commissioner Bear,
Second.
second by Commissioner Murphy. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote. Dr. Bear,
Aye.
Mr. Murphy,
Aye.
Mr. Frederick,
Aye.
Mr. Riddle.
Aye.
Chair votes aye, motion carries. We'll move into the 2026 proposed budget, and this will be presented by Deputy Finance Director Greenwood. Welcome.
Good evening, Mayor Decker and Commissioners. This is the second reading of the 2026 proposed budget. There have been no comments or changes brought forward since the first reading.
Thank you, Ms. Greenwood. You have further comments, or?
No, basically everything is the same. I was just gonna go through the slides
Okay,
again.
go ahead.
Again, these are our general fund expenditures totaling $29,699,210, which is a 7.78% increase over last year. This is the balance. We will transfer $17,430,000 from our special revenue funds listed here. We plan to use about $3.4 million of cash on hand to cover the deficit. This is the summary of all of our city funds, which has an increase of 8.36%. The major expenditures here in the 1% sales tax category include the library, museum, and airport expansions. And then under the debt service section, we moved capital leases into their own departments, and we also moved the SRF debt payments onto their own line. Many of the enterprise funds, we're gonna be using cash on hand to cover a lot of the bigger projects like the Baylor Building and the water reclamation facility. One note I added here is I wanted to point out that a lot of these funds include transfers to other funds, so it appears to be double counting if you look at the total. Just wanted to point that out. So like the SRF payments are listed there at 5.7 million, but they're also part of the oil impact fund because that's where we're paying those out of. So the 116.5 million total down there for 2026 kind of includes some things like that. So if you take all those transfers out and just count them the one time, it's 107 million. I don't know if that was ever pointed out before, but here is a list of our personnel requests. We just have the 4 new positions that are shown in green. Our capital requests per department again here. And then the subsidy breakdown. Are there any questions from the first reading or this reading?
Commissioners, any questions on the proposed 2026 budget? You can proceed.
And then the fee schedule, no changes here. Just that we added some equipment rates for public works. We added a couple solid waste things for mattresses, and we changed the prices for the things listed there. Utility billing was just making the sewer rates match our water rates for outside city limits. And then for water and sewer, we just added a 300-foot minimum for the camera inspections and are taking off a few items. So once this fee schedule resolution is approved, these rates will go into effect January 1st.
Thank you, Ms. Greenwood. Any questions? This is the second reading of ordinance 1830. Commissioners, any questions for Ms. Greenwood or city staff on the proposed 2026 budget?
Just a comment, I'd just like to thank all the staff and Katie, your hard work on the budget this year. It was a good process and went really smooth. So I appreciate all that.
Thank you.
I agree. So anyone else? Comments, questions? Not, I'd look for a motion.
Mr. President, I move to approve.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Murphy,
Second?
second by Commissioner Frederick. Any further discussion or questions on ordinance 1830, the 2026 proposed budget? Hearing none, we'll vote. Mr. Murphy,
Aye.
Ms. Frederick,
Aye.
Dr. Bear,
Aye.
Mr. Riddle.
Aye.
Chair votes aye, motion carries. Thank you.
There's also the fee resolution.
Oh, that's, thank you for the reminder. So that would be resolution, it should be 42, 2025. Any questions on the fee schedule? Now I'd look for a motion on the fee schedule.
Mr. President, I move to approve.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Bear,
Second.
second by Commissioner Riddle. Any further discussion on 42-2025, the fee schedule amendment? Hearing none, we'll vote. Dr. Bear.
Aye.
Mr. Riddle.
Aye.
Mr. Frederick.
Aye.
Mr. Murphy.
Aye.
Chair votes aye, motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Let's see what time, okay. Our next item up, we have the Dickinson Theodore Roosevelt Regional Airport budget. Presenting will be Airport Manager Brown. Welcome.
All right, good afternoon, Kelly Brown, the Dickinson Airport. Commissioners, in front of you should have your packet. There's 2 pages in there. The expense summary page and the income summary pages. Any big amount differences from last year to this year are noted on the right-hand column. Nothing particularly attention grabbing in that column. Most of the increases were directly due to increases in services. Nothing really stands out in increased funding for any of those cost centers, so pretty straightforward. We have a total expense projected at $1,536,900 and an income projected at $1,555,030 for a difference of $18,130. The budget every year has gotten tighter and tighter. This year is probably the tightest budget that I've worked with in the 11 years that I've been here. That $18,000 difference is pretty slim margin. We looked at the budget very keenly this past year because we know that our funds are precious and few, and we didn't want to see an increase in the amount that the taxpayers are paying towards the airport. So we kept a keen eye on those bottom numbers, and no big increases from last year. So if anybody's have any questions, I'd happy to answer.
Commissioners, any questions for Mr. Braun? I have a question, but it's not budget related, so I'll wait.
Okay.
No. Any questions for the airport manager or staff on the 2026 proposed budget for the Dickinson Regional Airport? Okay, this would be a resolution, right? So we are on 43-2025. There are no questions or comments on the proposed 2026 budget for the Dickinson Theodore Roosevelt Regional Airport. I'd look for a motion.
Mr. President, I move to approve.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Bear,
Second.
second by Commissioner Riddle. Any further discussion? Hearing none, will vote. Dr. Bear?
Aye.
Mr. Riddle?
Aye.
Mr. Frederick?
Aye.
Mr. Murphy?
Aye.
Chair votes aye, motion carries. Thank you. And my question, the bids due the end of this week, right?
So
there-
the bids actually were due today.
Okay,
They were due today by 9 o'clock. We had a bid opening this afternoon at 2 o'clock. It just came from there. We had over 50 bidders participate in that project, which is good. We don't have a bid tabulation yet. Jay Dunn will go through all those bids, make sure that they're all responsive and that everything in the bid pack is covered. And we should have a final number here in the next week or so. Was hoping to have some for the airport board meeting next week, but maybe.
well, I flew out of our current terminal, and I'll tell you what, staff did an amazing job. I flew out last week, and they did an amazing job, and no complaints, nice, easy transition. It'll be even better with a new terminal, so you guys are doing an excellent job out there.
I appreciate the kind words. I'll pass that along.
You can tell TSA they were good too.
Yeah. They're working without pay right now, so they may be a little extra grumpy, but we'll get through it.
So, all right. There are no
Awesome.
more comments for Mr. Braun?
No.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thanks, everyone.
Yep. All right, we'll move into community development. We have a Chapter 16 and Chapter 62 code amendment for oil well requirements. This will be presented by City Planner Burchek.
Thank you, Commissioners. Natalie Burchak, City Planner. So Community Development staff is requesting approval of a zoning text amendment to Section 16-166, Conditional Use Permits, Site Plan, and Section 16-167, Inspections, in Chapter 16 Environment of the Municipal Code, as well as Table 62-162-2, Permitted Uses by Zoning District, in Section 62-162 Development Regulations, in Chapter 62 Zoning of the Dickinson Municipal Code, in order to remove the requirements of approval of a conditional use permit and a special use permit for oil wells and resource extraction. The intention of this amendment is to align the Dickinson Municipal Code with the North Dakota Century Code requirements regarding the permitting of oil well drilling. That is the domain of the North Dakota Industrial Commission. The City Commission will not have the authority to approve or deny of special use permits. Instead, that process will be a public hearing in front of City Commission by the applicant looking to drill an oil well, where the City Commission is able to put in place any requirements that they would like to see, and those get passed into the Industrial Commission for when their permit is approved or denied. This is the second reading of this text amendment. We have received no public comments regarding this amendment, and staff would recommend approval.
Thank you, Ms. Burchek. Any questions for Ms. Burchek or city staff on ordinance 1831, the text amendment to Chapter 16 and Chapter 62? If there are no questions or concerns, comments, I'd look for a motion.
Mr. President, I move to approve.
We have a motion approved by Commissioner Murphy,
Second.
second by Commissioner Frederick. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote. Mr. Murphy,
Aye.
Mr. Frederick,
Aye.
Dr. Bear,
Aye.
Mr. Riddle.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. Our next item, we have a Bartlett and West East Water Tank Coating, QA/QC, and this will be presented by Senior Engineer Keller.
Mr. President, Commissioners, for your consideration is a master service agreement and task order with Bartlett and West Engineering to provide, the task order is to provide design specifications and a quality assurance, quality control plan, and bidding assistance for the removal of the existing interior coating and installation of a new coating in the east water tank. Bartlett and West was selected through a competitive RFP process. The firm's experience on similar projects for the Southwest Water Authority and having key personnel located in state are the standout evaluation criteria for their selection. This task order is for $30,000 on a T&M basis with a not-to-exceed clause. The master service agreement and task order were reviewed by the city attorney. The project will be funded through GPT, and the city engineering staff recommends approval. I'm here for any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Keller. This is task order number 1. Agreement with Bartlett and West to provide engineering on the recoating of our water tower. So, commissioners, any questions for Mr. Keller or staff? If there are no questions, I'd look for a motion.
Mr. President, move to approve.
We have a motion to approve by Commissioner Riddle,
Second.
second by Commissioner Bear. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote. Mr. Riddle,
Aye.
Dr. Bear,
Aye.
Mr. Frederick,
Aye.
Mr. Murphy.
Aye.
Chair votes aye, motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Keller. Now we have a downtown drainage system task order to Apex Engineering, and this will be presented by Engineer and Community Development Director Sklochik.
Good evening, Mr. President, Commissioners. For your consideration is a task order with Apex Engineering Group Incorporated to perform engineering services for project number 2025-21. That's the downtown drainage improvements project for a time and materials amount as specified in the task order, which is $206,500. City attorney has reviewed this task order and which would fall under the Apex Engineering Group master service agreement. This is included in the 2025 capital improvement project budget for the engineering scope, and this is intended to be paid out of the stormwater fund as cash on hand. Some scope of work items included in this task order: project management, quality control, quality assurance, watershed modeling, alternative analysis and preliminary engineering report, and then a GIS shapefile deliverable to the city with any updates to our stormwater network. If errors are found, we're going to make sure that we have all of our storm sewer televised within this entire drainage basin. Anything that's identified as changes or things that don't match what we have, they'll deliver that shapefile to us. Some key attributes for this project: utilizing the storm sewer outlet system information that we gathered throughout the winter and spring of 2025, where ultimately it's always been viewed that there's only one stormwater outlet pipe that goes under the railroad tracks, where in fact, based on our investigation and ultimately some excavation work that we had done, we know that there is now 2 pipes going out. One is being anticipated right now that's being underutilized, so it could be a real attribute in the future. And then ultimately the intent of the project is to define some concept opportunities for improving the downtown drainage system so that we could reduce maybe the frequency and intensity of the downtown flooding, which would also then include frequency intensity of the flooding in the underpass. So with that being said, city engineering staff recommends approval.
Thank you, Mr. Sklochik. Any questions on task order 2025-5 with Apex Engineering for the downtown drainage improvement project? If there are no questions, I'd look for a motion.
Mr. President, I move to approve.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Murphy,
Second.
second by Commissioner Riddle. Any further discussion? Any questions? Hearing none, we'll vote. Mr. Murphy,
Aye.
Mr. Riddle,
Aye.
Mr. Frederick,
Aye.
Dr. Bear.
Aye.
Chair votes aye, motion carries. It is 5 o'clock. We'll move into public hearing. Public hearing, our first public hearing will be the Transportation Master Plan and Comprehensive Plan presentation. This will be presented by City Planner Burchek and KLJ representative. Welcome.
Thank you, Commissioners. Natalie Burchak, City Planner. So the city, since about late 2023, has been working with KLJ to get some updates on our transportation master plan and our comprehensive plan. These were originally done in 2013. We believe that these updates better reflect where exactly the city has gone in the last about 15 years and where we're kind of looking to go moving forward. So KLJ is here to present a little bit more about this document, and then we're looking just to have the document approved and accepted by the commission after this presentation. But now I will pass it over to Wade with KLJ.
Thank you, Natalie. Thank you, President Decker, members of the commission. Appreciate the opportunity to provide an update tonight. I know a few of you have participated in the process throughout, but I did want to make sure this evening that we did go back through some of the key points within the plan. It's a large plan. I know the commission has had it for a couple of weeks. I think some key takeaways, certainly some positive growth trends going forward for the city of Dickinson. I think one of the things that is important to recognize about the plan is there's a lot of maintenance and preservation. Certainly the city has had some very explosive growth, particularly between 2010 and 2020. There's a lot of hard work that was done to catch up with some of the infrastructure pieces, and what this plan does is kind of put a cap on that and make sure that you're now able to keep up with some of the state of good repair pieces, because it recognizes there's some significant investment that's currently in place throughout the system. One of the pieces here is that really the projected system needs that we've forecast when we start looking at traffic and some of the other components really do fit with inside the proposal or the recommendations of this particular plan. And I think the other piece that's worth noting is, a real strong technical leadership team, planning, community development, engineering that we had the opportunity to work with over the life of this plan. Page 45 of the full plan, it's our second chapter, talks a lot about the community engagement. We really had a multi-phased community engagement process, included a community stakeholder group that we met with 4 or 5 times. It had 2 rounds of public involvement. The first round was very intensive, a lot of online social media surveys, multiple workshops. So we felt like we really did get out. We made an attempt to listen to the community, integrate some of the ideas that the community had in the overall planning process. One of the big components of the planning process is looking at growth forecasting. We use the growth forecasting process to drive a lot of the infrastructure planning. I should note that we did work with Apex Engineering on some of the infrastructure pieces. Scott Schneider and his team were fantastic. But one of the pieces that we do early in the planning process is look at growth forecasting. Certainly a little bit of a more modest growth trend, but still a positive growth trend that this plan puts in place. The last plan was adopted in 2013, right in the middle of a pretty significant economic burst. We feel like this is a growth trend that certainly will serve the city well, at least over the next 5 to 8 years as this plan gets implemented. But we looked at that. Chapter 4 provides a lot of the background in terms of some of the growth forecasting that's been done to support this particular transportation and master plan. Part of the growth forecasting was trying to make sure we were making good use of the infrastructure that was in the ground. We worked closely with the project management team as well with Apex Engineering to try to get a good understanding of, where is their infrastructure in the ground today? Where can we take advantage of some of the investments the city has already made? Where areas where we could make investments in future land use where maybe some of the infrastructure was there, and where are the areas that would be a little bit more costly? So we called this sort of our stoplight analysis that we did earlier in the process to try to take a look at, how do we maybe start, filling in some of those areas that were either platted where the infrastructure got to during the latter part of the last decade. And so that's what we did. We really tried to make use of some of the acres that have infrastructure first, getting to some of those areas that might be more expensive, more expensive in the long run as you get closer to the end of the planning horizon. Part of that was working with Natalie and the planning group to try to make sure we took a look at the urban service area, working with staff. That was the urban service area was adopted with the 2013 plan. It's something that the plan does recommend making some adjustments to it based on some de-annexations and some other areas that have changed, but by and large, the urban service area stays in place. And really a lot of the growth and development that we'll see based on the projections of this plan do fit inside that urban service area, certainly a boundary that was developed with the 2013 plan, that it's really meant to help guide infrastructure to areas where the city is most able to serve it cost effectively and efficiently. Housing was a component. We had a separate chapter looking specifically at housing. In this transportation plan, we took a look at renter-occupied housing, single-family housing, did a projection for future housing. What the city had requested was that we kind of take a look at the existing housing framework, what's in the ground today up through 2022, doing a comparison back to the past, and then making some forecasts. We did both a short-range and a long-range forecast for future housing need by income, both for renter-occupied and owner-occupied housing. What you see here is renter-occupied housing. Make some recommendations based on the assumption that it could come up a little bit short in the long range, particularly in some of those middle to lower income rental units. And we saw the same thing, not a big gap, but just a little gap, something to keep aware of. And then also on the homeowner occupied housing, again, not a big gap, just a little bit of a gap, again, as we get towards that middle to lower income bands. Something for the city to keep in mind as you start talking about housing production coming online, thinking about, again, that middle to lower income gap, what we might call workforce kinds of housing, big part of the mix. Again, not a big gap, but something that, the planning process does take into account. Two pieces. The next piece is really future land use. And so what you see here on your screen is kind of the study area wide. A couple things that I would point out here. It certainly pulls back a little bit from a very robust plan that was developed in 2013. One area of particular note is sort of the West Dickinson area. That was a sub-area study that was done following the last transportation and comprehensive plan. Staff felt pretty strongly that, those areas, the land uses that were projected there, while they may be good future land uses, if that area was going to develop, having them in a future land use map as such probably wasn't appropriate. What we try to do is utilize a rural reserve, particularly for a lot of those areas inside the urban service area, really to give the city a little bit more flexibility and having some controls over some of those land uses as they go forward. As we look more specifically at the areas focused around Dickinson proper, we really did do a little bit more of a parcel by parcel look at future land use. A lot of the details are in the full plan, but we did work closely with staff to develop what we hope is a good future land use plan for the city of Dickinson. Other elements within the plan that I won't go through in tremendous detail. We did take a close look at community development issues that included parks and recreation, natural history, cultural resources. Those were things that the city had asked for to give the city a little bit better perspective as far as goals and recommendations as far as some of those elements of the community. I felt like I missed the slide there, but I must not have. So a big piece of the plan is really traffic. So we developed a 2050 traffic model. That model started with existing conditions. How does the system operate today? By and large, the system operates very well. Some of the little hiccups that we were seeing in our existing model were things the state's kind of cleaning up now on 3rd Street or North Dakota 22 over last summer and this coming next summer. With the growth that we forecast, we run a 2050 model. That points out a future of a little bit more congestion on the system. You'll see some of your north-south corridors, particularly on the business west business loop as it approaches 94, segments of state, segments of Third or North Dakota 22. Not uncommon, of course, you do a 25 or 30-year forecast. I mean, really, we're just putting all the population in households. We haven't done anything to fix what the model is showing us. So what we do with this model then, members of the commission, is start to develop essentially a project list, and that's really what's in the back of your transportation book. It starts with projects that are already committed, things that are either in your short-term CIP or things that the North Dakota Department of Transportation has programmed in their STIP or their STIP, State Transportation Improvement Program. So we start with those projects. There's about 13 of them. Again, those are what we would call committed projects, so we put those into the transportation model. But really, the heavy lifting really comes from, starting to look at the whole system. So we identified north of 50 projects that would be used to improve the system that we've developed the forecast model for. So that's 14 short-range projects, 20 medium-range projects, and then 19 long-range projects. So 66 total projects. 13, of course, are already imminent or anticipated to be happening very shortly. With that, then we looked at a number of kind of critical corridors, some of the north-south corridors, the east-west corridors, some of your busier streets. Try to take a look at maybe some more specific recommendations. And really what that allowed us to do is two things. We looked at your existing projects that were in your capital improvement program. That's the program that Josh develops every year, and then sort of went line by line, developed some specific recommendations to either enhance or augment those projects. We are already going to be investing some money. So that's sort of the first tranche of projects. The second tranche of projects would be new projects. These were things that we went into our 2050 model. We looked at the crash data and really developed more of a detailed modeling approach to come up with these particular projects. So in total, again, 66 projects, 13 are program, 53 are what we would call short, medium, or long-range projects, kind of round out the transportation plan. In total here, you can see what we did is we have our planned projects, and then we banded short, medium, and long-range projects with cost estimates for each of these. So still a lot of work to do. Just because you adopt the transportation plan doesn't mean that all the money's going to be there and the roads will get rebuilt. But it's a first start in terms of trying to understand, where are we at today as a community coming out of a real productive, explosive era, trying to get ahead of things and build a good community going forward. I believe this is my last slide. So with that, I would pause for questions or comments. Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity.
You didn't want to go through all 264 of them?
No, I could though.
Well, yeah. Why do we have Mr. Olet cater in then? I canceled the order, Mr. Olet.
If I would have known there was food, I could.
Oh, yeah. It's thank you. Very, very detailed, comprehensive plan. Looking through it, you guys did an excellent job, and the city staff too. Thank you so much for all your work on that, and everybody that had input in the community. I think it was a great plan. It is a public hearing, so if anybody wishes to come forward and speak to the master plan, please come forward. Anyone wish to speak to the transportation master plan and the comprehensive plan? Anyone from the public? Seeing no one from the public has any questions or comments, I'll close the public hearing. Commissioners, is there any further questions for city staff or our representative from KLJ? Oh, all right. We'll move into our second public hearing is a rezoning request for the Stockert First rezone. This will be presented by City Planner Burchak.
Good evening, Commissioners. Natalie Burchak, City Planner. So the applicant is requesting the approval of a zoning map amendment from low-density residential, or R1, to general commercial, or GC, for Lot 3 of Block 2 of the Stockert's First Edition subdivision, located within the City of Dickinson's extraterritorial zone. So the purpose of this rezoning is to conform with the zoning pattern of the properties located to the west prior to replatting the property into one cohesive lot. The Associated Stockert Third Edition Preliminary Major Subdivision Plat, which is listed as PLP-003-2025, was previously heard and approved at the August 13th, 2025 Planning and Zoning Commission meeting. At this time, city staff has received no public comments regarding this project. I'm present to answer any questions that you guys might have, and staff would recommend approval of this rezoning, subject to, or contingent upon the approval of the Stockert's Third Edition subdivision.
Thank you, Ms. Burchek. Any questions for city staff before I open up the public hearing? This is ordinance 1832. So I will open the public hearing. If anybody wishes to come forward, has any questions, comments, or concerns with the Stockert first rezone, ordinance 1832, please come forward, state your name, and let the city commission know your concerns or questions. Anyone from the public? Anyone from the public have any concerns on Stockert first rezone? Seeing no one has any comments, questions, or concerns, I'll close the public hearing. Commissioners, do you have any further questions on this Stockert first rezone? This is ordinance 1832. If there are no questions, I'd look for a motion.
Mr. President, I move to approve.
We have a motion to approve by Commissioner Bear,
Second.
second by Commissioner Murphy. Any further discussion or questions, commissioners? Hearing none, we'll vote. Dr. Bear?
Aye.
Mr. Murphy?
Aye.
Mr. Frederick?
Aye.
Mr. Riddle?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Next, we have a public hearing for Chapter 52 zoning text amendment, lot modification requirements. This will be presented by City Planner Burchett.
Thank you, Commissioners. Natalie Burchak, City Planner. So Community Development staff is requesting approval of a zoning text amendment to Section 52-1 definitions and Section 52-4 procedure in Chapter 52 subdivisions of the Dickinson Municipal Code to include requirements that implement a maximum lot size for lot combinations for the administrative lot modification process, prevents the administrative lot modification process from being utilized in conjunction with a rezone request, and requires the city planner's signature for any lot modification. The intent of this amendment is to prevent the administrative lot modification process from significantly altering the characteristics of surrounding areas while circumventing the typical subdivision process and the public hearing that comes along with that. So as you can see up on the board, this adds to the definition of a lot combination. In residential zoning districts, the new lot area that a lot combination would be creating may not meet or exceed 17,000 square feet for high-density residential or R3 zoning district, 1 acre for the low-density and medium-density residential or R1 and R2 zoning districts, or the mobile home or MH zoning district, or meet or exceed 10 acres in the rural residential zoning district. And then for a limited commercial zoning district, the new lot area may not meet or exceed 12,000 square feet. And then also adds that the subject lot must not have been rezoned within the past 1 year. The purpose of this requirement for the rezone is to avoid somebody, again, using these in lieu of a minor or major subdivision by just requesting an administrative lot combination at the same time as a zoning, rezoning request. And then the same change would be put for the lot splits with not being rezoned within the past year. And then the change to 52-4 procedure. At the end, it just states that the irregular plat must be signed by the city planner and city engineer or designees prior to recording. Currently, it only requires the city engineer signature. This just requires both of those positions to sign off. And then also removes the outdated language of the city planning director to just state city planner. As of now, city staff has received public comments from Highlands Engineering questioning the necessity of the preventing these modifications from being used directly after a rezone. Again, we are encouraging that to avoid somebody using them to circumvent the minor subdivision when a rezone is already being filed. Beyond that, though, I am here to answer any questions that you might have, and city staff would recommend approval of this text amendment.
Thank you, Ms. Burchak. Commissioners, you all, within your package, you saw the comments from Mr. Schrank.
Yep.
So to that, do you have any, before I open up public hearing, do you have any comments or questions for city staff? And you feel the 1 year will prevent this avoidance? Is I guess I was a little confused reading through his comments, because most of this stuff is going to be handled administratively right now.
So,
Without,
yeah, these lot modifications get handled administratively. What we're trying to avoid is somebody doing that and not requiring a public hearing when they're, say, rezoning a property from R1 to R2 in order to implement duplexes. They could theoretically bring that rezone request in front of Planning and Zoning and City Commission and say, no, we're just rezoning it for no reason, and kind of not telling the full picture that the purpose of the rezone is to be a duplex or to be a single family attached. This kind of requires whoever is applying to make it as transparent as possible that if they're changing a zoning district for the purpose of replatting it for a different use, it's clear immediately what that replat is going to look like.
this was heard in front of Planning and Zoning. You guys heard of this change? Any major concerns from the Planning and Zoning Board?
No major concerns that I can recall, but I mean, just reading through this, the year thing, I mean, he makes some good points here. I'm trying to understand what the year thing has to do. Again, I mean, if we are okay combining it after a year, like he says, why are we not able to combine it right away?
At least the intention behind it is just to prevent this process from being kind of abused. Saying, though, that we can't accept them for anything that's been
Give me a
rezoned is
scenario.
impossible. That scenario of R1 to R2 is the main concern, because that's going to fundamentally change the density of that district, but it only required a rezone, whereas, again, you can have an applicant say, okay, I'm just rezoning it to R2, but I'm not going to change it into a single-family attached, and then they can just administratively change it. So there was no public comments, no residents nearby have the chance to comment on that change. Whereas this requirement would require both that subdivision and the rezone to go up at the same time.
So, okay, so there's two lots that are R1. He wants to make them this developer wants to make them R2.
It would be in the case of one lot that's R1 that they're wanting to split into two lots, which they could do under R2 but could not under R1.
But I understand that, but I'm just looking at a scenario where you have an R1 lot. If we're gonna allow them to go to R2 zoning, that allows duplexes, so why wouldn't we allow them to split the duplexes in half? Till after a year.
I think ultimately at that point, what we're trying to do is there's a commitment at that point for a year that it's not the simultaneous action, I guess, is what we were looking at.
But I'm assuming that we already know what the plan is if they're going from R1 to R2. I mean, there's no reason to go from R1 to R2 if you're just building a house.
It's not always clearly presented to us what the intentions are. Even in the case of a rezone. So if there's a simultaneous plat and rezone that comes before us, the intentions are far more clear rather than seeing one at a time, and then, you know, we may have thought differently at the time of the rezone. And
so we're talking lot split, not a lot combination?
either of the above fall under the category. So especially when you're going to the higher densities, you know, is there anything else that would create a conflict or a concern with the higher density being in that area?
But then we wouldn't allow them to go to R2 then, right? I mean,
Well, then-
if we're approving the zoning to R2 for the higher density, then what's the difference if they come back and 2 months later or 6 months or 3 months later after they built a duplex and want to do a lot split? I'm not sure I understand the reasoning now. Now that I read through these comments, I mean, that happens all the time. I'm just trying to understand. If we're
Well,
gonna let them go to R2, why would we not let them split it then?
I think our intention was we were trying to show that transparency to the Planning and Zoning Commission and then ultimately the City Commission so that they're aware also of what is intended for that.
The change is that it would go from an administrative lot modification to an actual minor subdivision that would have a public hearing as well, so that planning and zoning gets the whole picture instead of just the rezoning request, where maybe they are trying to do duplex, maybe they're not. It's kind of
So
up for
they do a
interpretation.
duplex with a condo association and put 2 units there and not split it, we're okay with it? But if they split it, we're not okay with it? It just doesn't make any sense to me.
It's not that we're not okay with it, it's that we're trying to make sure that the whole picture is going in front of planning and zoning at the same
But I mean, if they're
time.
going to R2, they could put a fourplex on there and not split it. So that's where I'm trying to understand. They could build a fourplex on R2 and not split it. But if they build a duplex and want to split the lots, so you have 2 separate parcels, that's a problem? I don't get that process.
Again, ultimately, our intent was to show transparency to both the Planning and Zoning Commission and then the City Commission with
But-
what the development application is.
But that transparency would have to come at the zoning time. Because if we're allowing them to go from R1 to R2, we're basically telling them, people, you can build a fourplex here.
If the lot size is accommodating, yes, that, if
Well,
it's
that's right.
sufficient and,
That- So that's the transparency. Changing the zoning this is what can happen.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, if that is the recommendation from the commission to remove that one sentence or that one statement, I guess that,
So the
that
biggest thing
certainly
is the 1 year.
Well, yeah, I mean,
I mean-
that's the part I just don't understand. And why would they would have to do a whole minor subdivision just to split off, do a lot split?
the,
I mean, you still have to do the drawings. I mean, it just,
there's a slight time increase to this where administratively, assuming that they submit a complete application in their first round or have very minor comments, yes, I understand that can be done in the matter of a couple weeks and you have a filed plat in the courthouse. In the case of a minor subdivision, you're probably talking more along that 2+ month range. So yes, there's a time attribute.
But the fact is that if you're submitting a rezone as well, then you already have to go through that 2 or 3 month process. This just
Yeah.
means that you're bringing everything forward at the same time.
Yeah, so
I'm fine with it. I just don't understand the year thing.
yeah, again, our intent was to show the transparency, but if that's something that the commission doesn't necessarily desire or doesn't see a need for, that's certainly your call on that, so.
So if the year's a sticking point,
Would you be amenable to like a 6-month?
I was just,
Requirement?
well, I was just gonna say,
Yeah.
6 months would be.
Well, what normally happens if they're gonna do the R2 zoning, and they're planning on building a duplex, they're gonna change the zoning, build the duplex, and once the foundation's in, they're gonna have the engineers come back and do the lot split calculations, because they'd wait till the foundation's there. So, yeah, I suppose 6 months, because you can't build something in less than 6 months, so that's probably doable. I don't so you wouldn't be able to do an administrative lot split then? It would have to be a full-blown minor subdivision.
It would most likely fall under the minor subdivision, assuming no right-of-way dedications or other things that kick it to a major, and ultimately then that minor subdivision plat is technically a shorter duration task than a rezone, because there has to be
Rezone
two
has to be
readings
2
at
readings.
city commission versus
Subdivision's
one
Yeah.
so.
I would be more comfortable with the 6 month as,
But I'm still,
I get what you're getting at.
but, I mean, I'll give you an example. I just did this year. I bought 2 R2 lots. Didn't have to rezone them, but then I did an administrative lot split on those lots.
Yeah, that's,
So,
if
and I
it's,
did administrative, I didn't have to go through the 2.5 month process.
Yep.
So,
And it was probably
I
done
think
in
that's
a
just-
few weeks, right?
well, yeah, that's,
Yeah.
and a couple $1,000s compared to $10,000.
Depending upon,
I mean, they're,
normally, I don't think that there's quite that big of a jump from one to the next, but
well, if you're going to 2 meetings, to have representation at 2 meetings, you got plans drawing, Yeah, it's gonna be 2,000 to 10,000, or 8,000, let's say. I don't understand the process, why that process needs to happen.
Though with the representation, again, it's a meeting that they already have to attend because they're doing the rezone. With something like yours where it's been zoned as R2 for an extended period of time, yeah, the lot split is fine. What we're just trying to avoid is having a situation where, again, somebody can be rezoning something and kind of pull the rug out from the commission and say that they're doing one thing, and then after the rezone gets approved, then they say, actually, we wanted to do this whole time.
But if we approve the rezone, they could technically build a fourplex there, and we have no say in it.
I mean, technically, based on the allowable uses, if they submit their building permit for something else, yes, once it's zoned, then,
But they would need a 16,000 square foot lot
yeah, if
for
the lot's
that.
accommodating, then it
So
would
it's
be
a little bit
sufficient,
clearer
so.
when you can do that as opposed to a duplex where it's only 8,000. Or 8,000 to go down to a single family attached.
I guess I would be more comfortable with 6 months. I think that would allow for, so, I don't know how the rest of the commission feels.
Well, I mean, his comments here, it'll take close to 4 months to combine the lots under a minor plat process. I mean, you gotta realize that that's a pre-application meeting. And by the time that gets all submitted on time, then you got a meeting and then 2 more meetings to get that approved.
Again, the idea is to have them, it's all one meeting because you're doing the rezone and the subdivision at the same time.
But then we should just say that.
That's what we're trying to get developers to do, is to just say what they're doing.
There are no further comments. Commissioners, I move to the public hearing. Anybody wishes to come forward, please state your name. We have our comments from Mr. Schrank from Highlands Engineering in our packet. You have any questions or comments on ordinance 1833? Again, this is a zoning text amendment for lot modification. Please come forward. You have any questions, comments, or concerns? Anyone with any comments, questions, or concerns? Seeing no one has any comments, questions, or concerns, I'll close the public hearing. Commissioners, any further comments or questions? I guess the only thing that I would like to see is that we amend it to 6 months, if that's commission goes with. If not, we can leave it at the 1 year.
One more, I just have one more question. Do we have a lot of this happening? That, I mean,
We've had quite a few this year where people have submitted rezones and lot modifications at the same time.
well, then we would know, right?
The-
What their intentions are.
That does sometimes change from the time that they rezone to the time we get it in, but yeah, it's not always clear because that isn't part of the discussion. If it's just simply intended to be a lot modification, then you know, in the pre-app meeting, in the pre-app letter, then we'll likely just say, you know, work through the lot modification process, and you know, we don't have any information on what exactly that lot split or lot combination or whatever that may be until after we receive the document.
So does this work the other way? If they're going from R3 to R2?
Work the other way. So they're going down
Down
in
zoning.
zoning restriction. If they be either combining,
So they're taking an R3 lot and make it R2 and build a duplex on it and then split it. Would this be the same process then?
just looking through the text based on the 1 year.
I mean, fundamentally,
I would think
yes, it would be
yes.
any change in zoning district, you would have to wait that 1 year or 6 months.
Yeah, so I would say any rezone is the way that it's currently written. So regardless whether you're going up or down in your zoning district requirements, that's the intent, so.
Okay.
And right now, this is just applying to residential, right? This section?
Lot modifications can be used residentially
Or
and commercially.
Commercial, okay.
Mhm.
Yeah. We don't see a lot of that, though. We see more residential.
There's been a few commercial lot modifications, but very few of them have been done with rezones. Although that's another thing that we would like to curtail, especially if you're changing.
I'd
commercial
just like to hear a
districts.
scenario where this would be, where it's a problem for us.
Where it's ultimately a problem, I guess, again, our intent was more so focused on trying to provide that transparency to the Planning and Zoning Commission, to the City Commission. So again, if the intent is from this commission that this is not needed or this is not in the best interest, then ultimately we can
But I mean,
present that as
for
a-
us being transparent, that must mean that we feel that we're deceiving somebody or not being upfront with this process to the neighbors, or that's what I'm looking for, that scenario.
looking for that scenario. Well, I mean, in the case, we have had circumstances where, and I can't necessarily think of a case specifically to a lot modification, but where a rezone occurred and then later on circumstances led to, there was a certain type of development intended, and then the end outcome was not the same. And so, I mean, when we're just trying to think about, we're trying to, make sure that we're protecting the public, those adjacent property owners, as well as make sure that there is some form of transparency back to the Planning and Zoning Commission and the City Commission when these types of applications come forward, being that the process was ultimately on the subdivision side shorter than the rezone side. That was our intent. But again, there's always that opportunity. If you do not want to see letter D in there, that's always can be removed.
I've had a couple residents also calling whenever rezones go in, questioning whether or not this change in rezone is going to make the land nearby their property go up or down in density, is an actual worry. And it's, again, something where we can say yes or no based on a minor subdivision that you have the opportunity to speak to, as opposed to an administrative lot split where you're kind of out of luck.
Well, I understand that, but we already are notifying them on the rezone. That part hasn't changed. I just don't understand the splitting part.
Yeah,
Or combining part, that's the part I don't understand. What's gonna be the difference? I'm trying to look for a scenario where this would be, if somebody comes in to rezone from R1 to R2, everybody's notified that the rezone, and this is what they can do on R2. You have a time then to say, well, I don't want a fourplex next to me. Okay, so then if it goes through, where does the splitting or combining cause issue? That's the part I'm trying to understand.
yeah, I think ultimately, again, we were going for transparency, and if section D is not desired to be in this, I would recommend that as part of the motion then, so.
Well, I'm not opposed to going in, I just want a good reason why.
Our intent was ultimately to build that transparency. That was our intent. We didn't want there to be something that ultimately somebody tries to, ultimately rezone, and then they kind of skate around kind of the gray areas of, say, a allowable use or something like that, and come in afterwards with, or even then afterwards go for a variance on some lot line width or something like that, and then get this plat approved or something. So there's a handful of different scenarios that could occur. They may not even have the variance request in. In those cases, the adjacent lot owners are notified as well for a variance. So that'd be another opportunity that they'd be, able to be notified that something's changing. So that would be an indicator that the lot line would be narrower than what's in the municipal code. Those are the scenarios I can think of ultimately. So there are notifications to those adjacent
I was
lot
gonna say, in
owners,
those
so.
scenarios, they're all notified, because that's gotta come through planning, correct?
It would come through planning for the rezone. It would come through the Board of Adjustments for any kind of a variance, so
But they are notified.
they are notified.
Yeah, the situation where they would not be notified would be lot modifications.
Okay, any other comments, commissioners? Like I said, I am with D, I am fine with amending that to 6 months.
Okay,
Any
we can certainly make that
commissioners,
change.
any other comments? Any input?
I'm willing to try it, but I'm just trying to understand the reasoning.
Okay.
Maybe you can sit me down and explain it to me, because I still don't understand exactly what the reason is.
The intent was transparency, Commissioner Frederick. That was fundamentally the intent. That was everything. We're not trying to hide anything. We're not trying to, make things more complicated. We're not trying to add costs. We are just simply trying to be transparent. That's all we're doing, so.
Okay.
Okay.
So, and again, there's always that opportunity. If you want to make a motion for scratching letter D out of there, that's fine too. That's your call. So this was just something that we were doing as trying to build transparency.
All right, so I think we've kicked this dead horse down the aisle. So,
I'll make a motion and change it to 6 months, item D. We'll give it a try.
we have a motion from Commissioner Frederick with amended to 6 months.
I'll second that.
Second from Commissioner Murphy. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote. Mr. Frederick?
Aye.
Mr. Murphy?
Aye.
Dr. Bear?
Aye.
Mr. Riddle?
Aye.
Chair votes aye.
Thank you.
All right, Ms. Burchick, we have a public hearing for a zoning text amendment for vehicle storage and auto services.
Thank you, Commissioners. Natalie Burchak, City Planner. So, Community Development staff is requesting approval of a zoning text amendment to Section 62-10 definitions, Table 62-162-2 permitted uses by zoning district, in Section 62-162 development regulations, and Section 62-462 commercial uses in Chapter 62 zoning of the Dickinson Municipal Code, in order to clarify the classification and design standards of outdoor storage and vehicle storage in relation to the auto services use. So the intention behind this amendment is to clearly define the standards that the City of Dickinson has been utilizing regarding vehicles related to the auto services use. So the changes to these definitions are in Section 62-10. The outdoor storage definition has been amended to add that motor vehicles, regardless of their mechanical state of operability, shall not be subject to the parameters of this section, even when serving as the product of the primary use of a site. This amendment to Section 62-162 eliminates the vehicle storage use. As you see, vehicle storage short-term and vehicle storage long-term are both already included in this table. Adding vehicle storage that can be a special use permit use in GC and a permitted use in LI does nothing but complicate what exactly is permitted in which zoning districts. So striking that use as it's already covered by these two definitions. And then also adding for the auto repair, equipment repair, and body repair definition in Section 62-469 commercial uses, motor vehicles, regardless of their current mechanical state of operability, are not classified as outdoor storage and shall fall under the same screening parameters as the vehicle storage or short-term use. So this means that screening of these vehicles would not be required up until they have been stored there for over 21 days without being used or moved, in which case they would fall under the vehicle storage long-term use. Like I mentioned, the intent of this zoning text amendment is to clarify exactly how the city has previously been enforcing this ordinance, considering motor vehicles not as outdoor storage, but as vehicles, even when they are being operated at auto repair shops. City staff, prior to the September Planning and Zoning Commission meeting, sent out a total of over 500 letters to any residents within 300 feet of the 26 auto services businesses in town. We received a total of about 11 phone calls from residents, mostly looking to clarify what exactly this amendment does. We've had a total of 2 people oppose this amendment, one of which was the letter that was included in your packet about an hour prior to this commission meeting. City staff is present to answer any questions that you might have about this text amendment, and staff recommends approval of this amendment.
Thank you, Ms. Burchak. Any questions? And this will be ordinance 1834. Again, there was a late entry here of individuals opposing, which is one of the 2 that
Yeah, the other one attended planning and zoning and kind of
Right.
worked out the issues
Right.
there. It was more personal.
So, are there any questions before I open up the public hearing? Not, I'll open up the public hearing. If anyone wishes to come forward, please state your name. Let us know your concerns, questions. On 1834, this is the Chapter 62 zoning text amendment for vehicle storage and auto services. Anyone have any concerns or questions? Anyone with any questions? I'll close the public hearing with taking into consideration of the letter that was sent to us. Commissioners have that. Commission, do you have any further comments or questions for city staff? There are no comments or questions. This is ordinance 1834, and I would look for a motion.
Mr. President, move to approve.
We have a motion to approve by Commissioner Frederick,
Second.
second by Commissioner Bear. Any further comments or questions? Hearing none, we'll vote. Mr. Frederick?
Aye.
Dr. Bear?
Aye.
Mr. Riddle?
I like the way the ordinance was. I'm going to be a no.
Mr. Murphy?
Aye.
And chair votes aye. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. We will move back. Let's see, we had the last thing was our Apex engineering is that we covered, right? Downtown drainage. So we are on to demo bids. Ms. Stewart's just ready to go. Code Enforcement Officer Stewart, you have some bids for us.
Yes, good evening. Tiffany Stewart, Code Enforcement Officer 2 for the City of Dickinson, here to discuss the bids for the demolition of the structure located at 22 South 10th Avenue West. This property was approved by the City of Dickinson Commission in May of 2025 to move forward with this demolition. The cost of the demolition, along with the landfill costs, will be assessed directly to the property. We received 3 bids, and the Building and Codes Department recommends moving forward with the lowest bid from Prairie Paving and Maintenance of $28,000.
Thank you, Ms. Stewart. Any questions on the bids?
It's quite a range there.
That's what I was thinking.
28 to 119.
Any other comments or questions? Not, I'd look for a motion.
Mr. President, I move to approve.
We have a motion to approve, and this would be resolution. So I'm trying to check my, 45?
Yeah.
Am I correct? 45. Resolution 45-2025. And that motion came from Mr. Murphy
Correct.
with a second from?
Second.
Second from Mr. Riddle, Commissioner Riddle. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote. Mr. Murphy?
Aye.
Mr. Riddle?
Aye.
Mr. Frederick?
Aye.
Dr. Bear?
Aye.
Chair votes aye, motion carries. We have a second demo bid for the for 219 Fifth Street East. Ms. Stewart?
Correct, yes. So the demolition of 219 Fifth Street East was approved by the City Commission in June of 2025. The bids will also include the removal of miscellaneous junk items at the property to get it cleaned up. Vehicles at the property have already been tagged and will be removed prior to the demolition. The cost of the demolition, along with the landfill cost, will be assessed directly to the property. And the Building and Codes Department recommends moving forward with the lowest bid from Total Control of $8,800.
Thank you, Ms. Stewart. Any comments or questions for city staff on the bid for 219 Fifth Street East? This will be Resolution 46-2025. There are no questions. I'd look for a motion.
Mr. President, I move to approve.
A motion to approve by Commissioner Bear,
Second.
second by Commissioner Riddle. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote. Dr. Bear?
Aye.
Mr. Riddle?
Aye.
Mr. Frederick?
Aye.
Mr. Murphy?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
And we'll move into our monthly report.
Good evening, Mr. President, Commissioners. Monthly report for engineering and community development. Starting with the planning group, City of Dickinson has received a total of 27 individual development applications, including 8 plats, 4 special use permits, 6 zoning text amendments, 3 Renaissance zone applications, 1 future land use map amendment, and 5 zoning text amendments. We've received a total of 17 lot modification requests this year and 6 applications for the Dickinson Revitalization Program. So good to see community members are utilizing that new program that was first issued this year. In total, we've had 34 development meetings or pre-application meetings. And so as you can see, there's a significant amount of those individual applicants that come in for pre-application meetings that ultimately move their development applications forward through the processes. Moving on to building and codes, we've got the tables for building permits that have been paid and picked up. We have the split for city, individual, and then also those that are administered through the county, being that the building department is contracted through the county to do the building permit reviews and inspections, and then the total fees for those building permits that have been paid and picked up, and that data is through September 29th, 2025. We did provide a code enforcement update. So the data that's available in this slide is specific to the weed board meeting that occurred in August of 2025, and then ultimately this information was provided to the state to meet the state requirements. There's been a total of 807 individual weed and grass violations submitted just this year, and some other additional statistics on different violations that have been sent out by our code enforcement team. Going ahead to engineering, so those projects that are currently under construction, did list those as greatest percentage complete down to least percentage complete. So starting off the Dickinson High School water main extension, that's 95% complete. There's a little bit of work remaining for the construction season of 2026, but that's planned to be completed then. Fire hydrant and a couple other things need to be done once the actual building pods are demoed, either this winter or into next spring. Water main replacement project, they're actually paving right now on that project, and anticipating by the end of this week to be done with the paving, including the mill and overlay. That will ultimately move that project to almost 100%. There are a few lead service lines that they are still working on. Those lead service lines are anticipated to be those from the curb stop to the meter, so we don't anticipate paving impacting, and we'll follow that as we complete the project. Sims, as soon as they get done on the paving towards the end of this week, they'll move the paving crew over to the Sims project and anticipate to have the main line paving done by Saturday evening. There still will be some intersection work, and then also later on this week we have the sanitary sewer relining crew coming in. They've got a couple days worth of work, but that shouldn't impact the paving crew. Highway 22 traffic signals, we did finally get the actual traffic signal poles in, and they're working diligently to get those intersections completed. That schedule did get pushed a little bit into early November, but ultimately looking to complete that work. 2025 road maintenance project. Right now, we anticipate this project carrying over into the 2026 construction season, just based on weather and a host of different challenges that we've had with the storm sewer install, water main being in the area where we were extending the storm sewer, and those kind of things. We've been in communication with the contractor on minimum expectations prior to any winter shutdown. Good conversation with them on Friday afternoon, so they know clearly what the expectations are. We've been discussing these things over the last probably month and a half, 2 months during our biweekly project meetings, and so the contractor is committed to getting the project done. Depending upon weather, they're committed to get as much resources as possible pulled off of projects as they complete other ones and get them into town as quick as they can. But right now, basically waiting on a few other projects getting done, and then ultimately will be hinged on the weather. So we do have a requirement in there that any pavement cuts that are currently open, they have to be paved in before winter, as well as a host of other what we call priority 1 areas that the pavement's in bad condition and those kind of things. So that all has to be done, even if that pavement is done out of spec. So if it's too cold to be paving, they still have to pave it in at a minimum of 2 inches. And then if it's out of spec, then in the spring, they'll have to pull it out at their cost and replace that. So we do want the pavement to be fully back in. But by the end of this week, we should have the storm sewer 100% complete. The water main was completed late last week into early this week, and then ultimately moving ahead on that project. The North Industry Street and Storm project, storm sewer is complete. Had a little bit more of the demo type work on the frontage road. That is complete. The cement stabilization crew is scheduled for Monday to arrive in town and start that work. We anticipate 3 to 4 days of work on that, and then only another 2 to 3 days worth of work to spread the aggregate base material. And so pretty short duration on that one, but working diligently to get that project complete. And water reclamation facility final clarifiers, working through getting the final drawings for those clarifier arms. And as soon as we get that back, final reviews on that and everything else, they do anticipate to complete that sometime this winter, hoping that there's a bit of a warm up somewhere in the winter for about a week, and then we can get those installed. Library expansion has started and making good progress. And then ultimately our 2025 lead service line replacements. So those are about there's 28, 29 lead service lines that were identified to be curb stop to meter throughout kind of a variety of areas throughout town. That crew, we've been kind of back and forth in communications. They've had a series of delays on other projects and everything else. That crew is supposed to be freeing up soon here and coming into town. They ultimately supplied some information, requested a slight extension to that project deadline, and ultimately they think that they only have about 2 weeks of work anyways for that project. So as soon as that crew gets into town, hopefully they can get that work done very quickly and knock off a number of those lead service lines off our list. With that, I guess I'll pause for just a second if there's any feedback, questions, comments, anything like that.
So that Schnoggle area is going to come together quickly?
Yeah, we are working diligently with the contractor. There was a series of delays and some challenges with that storm sewer install, and so we are hoping that we can get a pretty significant workforce in here soon. We do have a grading crew coming in. The big hinge is the paving crew, and we don't want to get started on something, mill a bunch of pavement or something like that without having the right temperatures to actually make it a successful project. So we're monitoring weather closely and daytime temperatures and everything else. So.
Any other comments for Mr. Squatchik?
All right, thank you. Jumping ahead to the next slide. So a number of projects in engineering. Did also sort those by percentage complete. A number of them are either 100% complete or very near to complete, and so that's good to see that list shrinking and getting a number of projects done and ready for next year's construction season. and continue to make progress on a whole host of other projects as we work through the engineering on a number of these. So, and then with that, GIS, updating a number of different features within the different publicly available maps, such as some of the zoning subdivisions and future land use map information. We'll be incorporating some of the attributes of the future land use map and those kind of things, the urban service area boundary that has been updated with the transportation master plan and comprehensive plan that'll get updated and put into our mapping. And then our Daryl, our GIS staff person, he has completed the enterprise software version upgrades, and so that's a nice task behind us. That was a pretty challenging task to complete. And working with Eagle View to ultimately get a 1-inch pixel imagery for next year's flight. And that's something we anticipate having on the next agenda for the city commission to review and approve. But 1-inch pixel, that's a pretty detailed imagery. So pretty amazing, the technology availabilities and everything else. With that being said, I stand for any questions.
Thank you, Josh. Any questions for engineering? Community development? All right. Move, there's no one signed up for public comments this evening. So move into commission comments. Commissioners, any comments?
Mr. President,
Commissioner Bear?
I'd like to start out with giving Mr. Prouse and Jake a thank you for giving my wife and I a tour of Public Works. Had an awesome time. There's a lot goes on behind the scenes that people don't understand or know that it takes to run this city. So that was a pretty good tour. I enjoyed that. I especially liked giving the remote control mower a little run for its money. I still think I could do that for a part-time job. So that was kind of fun. And I didn't run it into the building or a truck. I just wanted to make so thank you. I also want to make the commissioners aware that the League of Cities recently did one of their webinars on the updates to open records and open meeting laws. And there's some information in there that I think the commissioners need to be made aware of, so that when we have people contacting us, we're aware of, we're within the law when it comes to talking to them regarding open meetings. Just wanted to make you aware that you can go to the League of Cities site and download that webinar. And then the other issue I had is when it comes to the various departments coming up here and they're presenting, sometimes it is said that city staff approves of a certain project. And I think sometimes general public gets confused, like when that's being said, that means the entire city staff is approving of that project. I think it would be better if whatever department is presenting, and I've heard Josh say it, engineering proof, our engineering staff recommends approval, or public works staff recommends approval of this item. I think if each department would say that it is their staff instead of the entire city staff, it would help cut down on some of the confusion that the public gets whenever they hear that, and knowing that it's not the entire city, it's not Mr. Dossinger, and it's not the rest of the staff approving it. I just think there's some confusion there, and it would be better if we just maybe be more specific. That's my opinion, but that's all I have.
Thank you, Commissioner Bear. Anyone else? All right, I'd look for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.